What's up, guys, and welcome back. Kara Corey here for another episode of Dietitian Talk. It's been a while. I definitely owe you guys some more Dietitian Talks in this new year, so make sure you hit that notification bell so that you guys are aware every time I upload one of these videos. Now, for today's topic, I feel this is very important for all of us entering the new year. I want to talk to you guys about food claims and what types of traps that can be created by these supposed food claims that we're seeing on many items as we're strolling through the grocery store. Many of us right now are in a state where some of our New Year's resolutions are to lose weight. I think coming into January, people are just more motivated. It's a fresh start. It's a new chapter, a new page in our book, and we're way more aware of our food choices, at least for the month of January. But for some of us, we continue these behaviors all year round. So you may be going to the grocery store being a bit more aware of what food items you're buying, and it can get super confusing what to buy, what's healthy, what's not healthy. And on top of it, we have all these claims that we see. Now, claims are basically just a marketing strategy from food companies to lure you in to buy their food product. It's not to say that they're not truthful, because food claims are required essentially to be truthful. They are regulated through the FDA, the USDA, and the FTC. So there are regulatory bodies in place when we put claims on food products. If you're not sure what I mean when I say a food claim, if you guys see items that say reduced fat, lower in sugar, higher protein, can help lower cholesterol, or may reduce your risk of heart disease. That's a common one too. We see things like organic, gluten-free, made with real fruit, made with fruit antioxidants. All these different types of things are coming at us when we're picking up food items. So it can become a little bit confusing to know what's real and what's not. So the biggest reason why I wanted to make this video is because I want you guys to be educated when you are making these choices in the grocery store. Don't just pick up a package of Oreos that says reduced fat and assume that means, well, it's gotta be good for me, or that must mean it's low in fat. Reduced fat and low in fat are two different claims. So yes, these claims do have certain definitions that they have to meet, and most claims do. So if you're saying something is reduced, really all that means is, in the example of the Oreo cookie, to call it reduced fat just means that the fat in that product is reduced by 25% from the original item. So if something is 50 grams of fat, all you're doing is reducing it by a quarter of that amount. That doesn't make it low in fat. So there's different standards there, and you can't just look at that claim and think, that's gotta be good for me. You need to take the time to really still look at the nutrition facts label and read it. And if you guys want me to do a separate video on how to read a nutrition facts label, I certainly can. I think for me it just seems easy, but that's my background and that's what I went to school for, so it's not complicated to me to easily pick up something and know how to read a label and really tease out what's important to look at and not look at. And I get, though, it's super overwhelming. It is for me at times too, but there are ways to kind of sift through and know what is just being catchy marketing and what's truth. And I just don't want you guys feeling like that's the best way to grocery shop. So if something says, gluten-free on it, does that necessarily mean it's healthy? Well, I'm going to disagree that statement automatically means something's healthy. I think there's a need for people to have gluten-free, but just because a box of cookies says gluten-free on it doesn't mean it's okay to eat the whole box of cookies, and that's health. People sometimes take those claims to an extreme, and I always like to bring up the example of the early 90s when low fat was the big craze, and everyone bought all the SnackWell's goodies that said low fat, and everyone was eating the entire package and not reading the nutrition facts label that said serving size, 1 or 2 cookies. But people thought, well, it says low fat, so if I eat the whole thing, that's good. It's all low fat. No, it still adds up. The fat still adds up. So you see where you need to actually take the time to pay attention to the full picture. You got to look at the nutrition facts label. You got to see how many serving sizes are in there. And there is a new regulation. There are changes being made to the food labels. You may already see them on some items, but not everything yet. It's not going to be a requirement until 2018. And I believe it's that standard is for certain food depending on how much money they make. So you're not going to see it on everything yet, but we're moving towards food labeling being more close to what a true serving size is, what someone would eat in one sitting versus like buying a Pepsi and having it be 2 servings. Like, no one buys a 20-ounce soda and drinks it in 2 sittings. You sit down and you drink the entire soda. So let's quit tricking people that there's 2 servings in there. So that was kind of the thought process behind this new regulation, is being a bit more transparent about what's really happening. You're going to sit down, you're going to eat that whole entire package, then the nutrition facts should up front, that's what it should say on there, so that you can see that whoa, if I eat the whole thing, this is 50 grams of fat, instead of breaking it down into 500 servings. So it does get very tricky. Going back to the claims that are out there, there's a couple different types of claims. I mentioned, there's health claims, which are basically stating that a food item is gonna link to some sort of decreased disease risk, essentially. And in those instances, there really needs to be some type of scientific evidence that backs that up. And there are regulations on it, like I said. And the biggest thing I think of that you guys probably have seen are like Cheerios. And it's funny to me because when I worked in the nursing home, everyone that like had high cholesterol or heart disease, they were like, I should probably eat Cheerios, right? And I'm like, well, that's not going to do the trick. It's going to take a lot more than eating a bowl of Cheerios in the morning to, help assist your issues with your heart disease. But, these claims are, again, telling a small picture. So it says may reduce your risk of heart disease, and that claim can be made. Let's see, I wrote it down. So for someone to use the claim may reduce the risk of heart disease, any food containing at least 0.6 grams of soluble fiber can make that claim. And in addition to that, it needs to meet the standards for low fat, low saturated fat, and low cholesterol. So with that, all those combined, an item can say may help reduce the risk of heart disease. But again, that's not going to be the only thing that reduces your risk of heart disease. That needs to be in combination with the rest of your diet being healthy, with physical activity, with reducing your stress, with, environmental factors. There's so much more that goes into it. So just make sure you're seeing the bigger picture and not just honing in on those tiny little details. And, it's easy for us. We want to kind of pick and choose those tiny little things to focus on. If you find out you have high cholesterol, well, I need to buy the Cheerios, I need to buy the oatmeal, and I'll be good to go. And that's kind of how marketing has created us to like put on that tunnel vision and think that's what it takes to reduce, cholesterol. And while those can be nice little helpers, it's not going to be enough. You've got to do everything else that it'll take to reduce your cholesterol. So other things too that are kind of trickery, I would say, I think about it like my husband eats the regular oatmeal packets, like the sugary ones, the delicious ones like apples and cinnamon. And so if I go to the grocery store and I look at oatmeal and all right, I'm going to go with the reduced sugar because one packet is so tiny. I want to eat 2 packets when I eat oatmeal, and I don't want it to be 70 carbs. So I pick up a box of low sugar oatmeal, and I believe that's the claim it uses, low sugar or lower in sugar. There are set claims, you guys, set definitions. And I'm going to leave you some resources in the description box if you want to look into that in a bit more detail. There's so much to go through on this topic, but I'm going to leave you the links there if you want to look into it more. But back to my oatmeal. So I look at the lower sugar oatmeal, and I look at it, I'm like, great, 1 packet is only 18 carbs, so I can eat 2 packets, it's 36 carbs, life is good. That is so much less carbs than the regular oatmeal. But if you take a little look-see at your serving size, and not just your serving size, because serving size 1 packet, yeah, that's the same. If you actually look at the grams, if you take a minute to look at that fine detail of the amount of weight that's being provided in each packet, you'll notice a big difference between the regular oatmeal and the low sugar oatmeal. So you're going to see a huge difference that it's weight for weight. You're not comparing apples to apples there. Your weight has been considerably decreased. So when you go to have your 2 packets, your 2 little sad packets of lower sugar oatmeal, it ends up being like volume-wise the same amount, maybe a little bit more, as 1 packet of the regular oatmeal. So you can see where this creates a little trickery. They have ways to make themselves fall within these claims. They fall within the definitions. It looks very appealing to us as consumers that want to look sexy and we want to, look good in the new year. But we have to be smart about it, you guys. You have to look at those fine details. And at the end of the day, it's like, shit, none of this is worth it. I need to just pour myself a bowl of normal oats and add my own goodies to it, because that's probably how I'm going to get the most bang for my buck. And as a dietitian, that's what I promote with people. Like, find the way that's going to work best for you, that you're going to get the most out of your nutrition, that you're going to feel good about it. It's kind of how I function during a competition prep. Anytime I'm going through a cut, really, if you're cutting your calories, you want to make the most of your food so you can get the most out of it, the best nutrition, so that you're optimizing your workouts, you're optimizing your energy, you're feeling most satisfied from it. And a lot of times it's going to come down to making your food yourself. But the oatmeal is a good example, because I have fallen for that several times with that reduced sugar. The other thing I've seen too, with oatmeal, again, the oatmeal example is made with oatmeal or Raisinets. I know that's kind of random, but made with fruit antioxidants. Okay, so as someone that's like looking to make a smart decision, you're gonna have that pop out to you like, ooh, that one says antioxidants. I should get that one. That one's gonna be better for me. Maybe all they did was throw in some little nuggets of raisins. Okay, that is not going to provide you that much more nutrition. That is not going to really provide you with benefits of antioxidants. And the tiny little amount that's in there, probably not. So when you see these things that say like made with real fruit antioxidants, like when you buy a box of Raisinets if you go to the movie theater, that's my husband's favorite too. He's a great example when it comes to food. That one's got fruit antioxidants, so that one's gotta be good for me. It's like, no, dude, just get the Bunch of Crunch, okay? Because that is like no different. The tiny little amount of fruit that's shriveled up in there, it's not giving you that much nutrition. Just make sure you're being smart when you make these decisions. These claims can be deceptive, even though there are certain regulations that they have to fall under. There have been times that companies have been found to have been deceptive with their claims, and during those times, it's a huge financial burden for these companies, because they will be forced to pull everything off the grocery store shelves, off the market. They'll have to repackage it, and go into a whole new production. So while there are standards there that the FDA regulates, there are certain things that sneak through too. I want to mention the word natural. Natural is something you may see on labels that FDA doesn't have a set definition for what that has to entail. So you do still see some labeling claims out there that aren't as defined as your nutrient claims. Your nutrient claims are things like high fat, low fat, reduced, excellent source of, things that are like excellent source of, good source of. Those are defined things. Excellent source of needing to meet 20% of your RDI in order to say that about a nutrient. Good source of is like 10 to 19%. So they're very set, defined things. But remember, say you're buying a package of oatmeal again. If it's saying excellent source of potassium, that's great. That's just one ingredient in that food item though. So just because something, I could be buying a chocolate bar that says excellent source of something, doesn't mean it's the best choice for me. So you just remember to look at the full picture, be educated, and don't fall into these food claims that they're the end all be all. Be smart, really take the time to look at the food label and figure out what is going to be best for you and make you feel the best. So I hope you guys found this video somewhat helpful. There are a lot of different set definitions out there. If you really want me to go in the fine details of those things, let me know. Let me know what you're still confused about, because I do think there's a need out there to educate more on how to go into a grocery store and make good decisions. It's challenging, it really is, and everyone has a different need when it comes to their own dietary needs. We all have different needs, so there's no right or wrong when entering a grocery store, but the biggest thing is becoming more educated yourself on what's going to be best for you, and not falling for the marketing scams. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please comment below and let me know if you would like to see more on this topic or what your thoughts are on some of the claims you've seen out there. There's definitely some funny ones out there when you really compare it. It's like, are you kidding me? So comment below if you've seen any of those, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.